So in Minecraft,
Yes.
you have these things called creepers.
Okay.
These little green things. And if you get too close to them, they sort of blink and shake and then they explode because, as you well know, they are full of TNT.
As one would expect, sure.
Right? My children have stuffed version of these, real life stuffed version of these creepers.
I love it.
And
with actual dynamite inside.
with actual dynamite inside. And it's really funny one time.
Sure.
Now, my kids were not listening the other day. We're sort of yelling at them. My wife throws the creeper down the hall just to get it out of the way while we're trying to get them to go brush their teeth.
Sure.
In the middle of this, and my wife trying to insist to my oldest child that he go brush his teeth, he stops and just looks at her and goes, pow. And she almost lost it. She basically wanted to murder him and would not give him the joy of laughing at his joke.
Of course.
Meanwhile, I think it's hysterical.
Quiet, please.
And then for the rest of the day, whenever I walked by the hallway and saw the creeper, I would look at her and just go,
Sure.
pow, which I thought was really funny. So
In 4,
it was a good day.
3,
That is a good day.
2.
Company presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense, Season 3, Episode 46. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, Tesla's lost data magically reappears thanks to a hacker.
Not all heroes wear capes.
From de minimis to disaster, the end of an era for online shoppers.
Well, yeah, but fortunately, I don't have to pay state sales tax on my Amazon orders.
Well,
oh,
yeah.
wait.
China's Salt Typhoon spies stole data from nearly every American.
It's not that the Salt Typhoon folks stole the data. It's that they gave every American hypertension. Just more foreigners taking jobs from hard-working potato chips.
Also, our big story later this week, pastrami on toasted rye with a side of fraud. The $100 million deli.
Oh, man, we got hard-working American potato chips and a fraud story about pastrami.
It's Calendar Adjustment Day. Born from the Julian calendar's imprecision, this was a momentous occasion in 1752 when Britain and its colonies adopted the Gregorian calendar. The Julian calendar, which miscalculated the solar year by about 11 minutes, had drifted so far that it was 11 days ahead of the true equinox. To correct this, the British Parliament passed the Calendar New Style Act.
Look, I love the idea, but to say you corrected it, against whom? Who else was going to show up and be like, oh, you're 11 days off? Nobody.
Well, the sun.
You're Julius Caesar. You just say, this is the Monday.
We've talked about this before on this show. The position of the sun really does matter.
We have.
This bold adjustment saw September 2nd, 1752, followed immediately by September 14th, 1752. The 11 days in between were simply erased from the calendar.
They were terrible days.
While some initially protested, believing their lives were being shortened or fearing they would lose pay, the change was vital for aligning religious festivals like Easter and for standardizing dates with the rest of Europe. This pivotal moment, though seemingly a small administrative change, was a massive leap forward toward global timekeeping accuracy.
They had to standardize for Easter. Was the rabbit showing up on the wrong days? Is that the problem? It was like Thursday, and he's like, where is everybody? Huh?
The chocolate eggs were going bad. Of course, it's not perfect, and we still have to deal with leap years.
Yeah.
A year is a leap year if it's divisible by 4.
Or
years divisible by 100 are not leap years unless the year is also divisible by 400.
Super easy. How do you not remember this?
This is why the year 2000 was a leap year, but 1900 was not. This system brings the average calendar year to 365.2425 days, which is very close to the actual length of a tropical year, but not perfect.
I feel like you just fell off the Asperger's truck. I'm not sure what just happened. Our longtime listeners, I think we call them classic listeners now. I don't really know quotes. I'm not sure.
Okay.
May recall that we covered this actually in season 2 episode. I think our newer listeners, we covered the origins of calendars, leap years, the doubling of February 24th, and all sorts of other Julius Caesar strangeness. I'll put a link in the show notes, but I think it was season 2, episode 8. And it was actually, we released it on February 29th, 2024, because we're cute like that.
Yeah.
And I believe it was titled February 24th, the original Daily Double.
Today is the actual day. And don't get me started on leap seconds. Yes, they actually exist.
Yes.
How's your week going?
Well, now I don't even know what day it is. So again, usually we get to this point in the show and I'm confused, and I like that we're back to that. I like that it's hot, but it's not too hot.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
So it's sort of the perfect stage in Southern California summer, which means that I'm sweaty, but not too sweaty.
You're an Atlantis Morissette song.
Oh boy. Finally back into the scheduled parent grind.
Okay.
That is what we call the school year.
Yeah.
Which means now I get back to all of the projects I had before summer started and try to make, some mild progress on those before before my children demand all of my attention and free time again.
Yeah.
So, more 3D printing and home automation and car projects, the usual shenanigans for me. But I have no complaints. Everything is humping along just fine.
And college football is back.
Oh, yeah, college football. And, I'm going to watch the Lions. We're all going to try to figure out how quickly the Lions lose their playoff hopes. They made it pretty far last year. This year, we're all going to watch see how quickly they make a mess of their own bed.
Yeah, sure.
But I have no complaints. Everything's humping along just fine.
Good.
And I'm good. How about you?
First, I want to give a big thank you to Kristen, who suggested the topic of de-extinction for our last podcast. I think you and I both really enjoyed that.
Yes, thank you, Kristen.
I saw the Penultimate Cyndi Lauper concert.
And I'm very jealous that you saw this.
The girls just want to have fun farewell tour. I didn't see the very last night of it, but I saw the night before the last night. It was so much fun. She's absolutely delightful.
It sounds way better than the first version. They're going to call it "The Girls Just Don't Want to Fall Down and Break Their Hip" farewell tour. So I'm glad they went with this version.
Well, that's if she comes back. See, this is the thing about the farewell tour.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is this the Who?
Yeah, exactly.
And there was going to be like a farewell tour
Yes.
when I was in my 20s,
Yes.
and now there's a farewell tour.
Yeah.
I think they're coming back. I think they're
are.
doing another.
I'm thinking about going to see them at the Bowl.
At the Bowl, yeah.
I've seen them like at least 3 times. I've seen them many times.
They've done 6 farewell tours.
This is the last show, and then they just keep showing up. So I don't know if it's the last one or not.
So will this be the case with Cyndi Lauper, or will it be like Ozzy Osbourne, where he did a farewell tour and it really was the end?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's
she's in good health. I don't think she has health problems.
dark.
Yeah, no, sure.
Be like, oh, sorry, Cyndi. That's it. That's the end. Once you stop singing, it's all over.
Get in the box.
Yeah, I do. First of all, let's hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
I did not know she was touting this one as the farewell tour. I'm actually somewhat sad that I missed it.
She looked healthy, let me just say. She
still sounds good, right? I mean, from what I've heard, she still sounds good.
Yeah, she sounds good.
Yeah, super jealous.
She works really, really hard at sounding good, too.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've seen at least 2 of the Eagles' farewell/hell freezes over tour.
Sure.
Which is also great. Where it's like, it's the Eagles. Like, of course. Yeah, I've seen them at least 3 times since they said they would never play together again, ever.
I've even seen them post Glenn Fry, and it's still a great show.
So, well, son plays. Isn't it his son isn't it Glenn Fry's son that's playing?
No, it's Vince Gill.
Speaking of when hell freezes over sort of tours, Oasis is playing this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Even though we're only, 5 days out from that show, I'm still not convinced it's going to happen because those guys fight more than my 2 kids. And I think the day before they could just be like, yeah, sorry, we're canceling the show. And
No, we're done.
0 people would be surprised. No one, no one would be shocked.
Like shooting an episode of Laverne and Shirley, you actually have to
Basically.
shoot the girls separately because they won't appear on stage together.
Separate rooms, separate sets. Yeah.
Let's get to our headlines.
Let's do it.
Tesla denied crash data, and then a hacker delivered it. A wrongful death lawsuit revealed that Tesla had claimed to have lost crucial crash data, but a hacker proved otherwise. In a case stemming from a 2019 pedestrian fatality, Tesla was found partially liable after initially denying the existence of a collision snapshot from the car's sensors. The company had previously been quick to use data from its servers to defend itself. However, in this instance, the stated data was unrecoverable and had been deleted.
Oops. That's all I could say. Sorry.
A hacker known as @GreenTheOnly managed to recover the data from the crashed vehicle's infotainment system, leading Tesla to finally admit it had found the data after all.
Wow. Actually, they didn't really admit that they found it. They were more just like, oh, this is so great that we have it, as they grit their teeth in the background.
Their lawyer came out and said, we didn't think we had it, and we found out we did, and thankfully we did, because this is an amazingly helpful piece of information.
Yeah, it was in a folder called Do Not Open, Daddy Elon's Special Documents, Special Go to Prison Documents. This story really, really bugs me because the best I can tell is they actively hid data. They went out of their way to say, no, we don't have this, and there's no possible way to get it back.
And lied about it.
And this wasn't like, and first of all, that would be bad if it was just something that made their business become, a little better if they did something wrong.
Yeah.
Somebody died here. Like, there was an actual death.
Yeah.
And they're being, I think, a little too flippant about the situation.
Flippant?
That too. Flippant?
Flippant.
Flippant. So in this particular case, though, this wasn't just like business as usual. This was someone died. Well, I guess now that I say it out loud, that is kind of business for usual as Tesla.
For Tesla, yeah.
But it's terrible. I mean, they had a pedestrian that was hit and killed, and the data behind this they had on their servers and was still available locally.
Yeah.
My hunch is it was deleted locally and it was sitting either in some cache or somebody reconstructed the inodes on the storage device, whatever. It wasn't like it was just ripe and ready. But why do you do that anyway? Like if you
right.
How many collisions are the average Tesla involved in? Very few.
How is it possible that you can delete data like this at all, period, anyway, full stop.
Well, that's my point. You've got plenty of storage. It's not like you're going to fill up storage by keeping these. So your standard operating procedure should be to keep these things and flag them as like, hey, this happened. Here's some data. That would be, I think, not the above board thing to do, just the right thing to do, right? It's not even complicated. You don't have to think really hard about that. But instead, they have it upload to some endpoint and then dump it locally so that they can maintain control, which I understand if you want to protect the brand and make sure that, only the things that go through your PR filter get out. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing is terrible in this case.
Yeah, terrible.
And then you combine this with the point that you make consistently that I think I gloss over more than not, but you contrast this to the folks at Waymo who are constantly publicly sharing all of their information. And these guys are doing the exact opposite. And it just doesn't fill me with confidence for what they're building.
The smallest of crashes Waymo puts in their reports. Some of these things are just like they had nothing. A sign blew over and hit a Waymo.
Yeah.
The Waymo didn't cause that to happen.
Sure.
And they put it in their report. They put everything in.
This story to me is really kind of terrible. I do like the outcome of it. And, we'll see if it stands on appeal. But they awarded the plaintiffs a giant mountain of money.
Yeah.
And from what I've read, it wasn't just about the actual incident. It was also about the fact that they
obstructing justice. Yeah, it's a huge problem.
Obstructed justice. And I really like that. I think that there have got to be teeth on that. Not that I think the people that should benefit from it are the folks that the family members, the folks that the person that was killed by this Tesla.
Right.
But like somebody should benefit from it. And if it should be anybody, I guess them.
Not only benefit, $240 million. That's more than enough benefit for the family. I'm sure they're never going to get their loved one back. So what's the right number for that? Who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully they take notice and stop trying to obstruct justice.
Yeah. I'll take the under. I mean, I don't feel like that's something that's going to be fixed with even if there were 10 of these awards in the next.
Yeah, no.
Because again, you're going to draw them all out. They're just going to draw every single one out.
Listen, if you're a company, can I just give you a little bit of advice?
Oh boy.
If you are caught in any sort of wrongdoing, get the information out as quickly as possible.
Sure.
Get it out fully and completely and to the best of your ability.
Yes.
And then you can make whatever changes you need to make.
Yes.
But you need to fess up to it as fast as possible and as fully as possible. Don't try to hide part of it under the carpet. You want to tell the whole story.
Yes. So you want to say, in addition to the CEO banging the head of HR, here are all the other people that are banging in the company. They should just put the whole thing out. Astronomers should just put everybody out.
Here's a chart.
It's a chart. Oh, it's like a little PowerPoint. It's like a little animated. There's like little lines connecting them. And you're like, oh, look at that. It's a triangle. That's pretty cool. Oh, boy, that guy in IT sure is busy.
I bet she didn't know he's banging her too.
Totally. Now all of a sudden I'm showing up for their quarterly reports. Could you imagine? Yeah. Enough about the financials. Who's banging who?
Put up the PowerPoint again. Let's go through this again.
What's the process with the SEC to get like the 10 Qs amended where we're going to have like a banging section? How do we, is that like a Sorbs-Oxley like edition, like version 3, the sexy one?
I'm sure Sarbanes and Oxley meant to put that in the
law.
What I
meant. Sarbanes. Sorbs?
Sarbanes, yeah. He was a senator.
I think that we really need to think about those disclosures. Because also, by the way, I like where if they disclose it in the 10Q and nobody reads it like, hey, we put it in the disclosure, like, what do you want from us? Everybody's banging everybody. It's just what we do here.
It's right here.
It's right here. Why are you surprised?
A lot of free time on our hands, but net result, happy company.
Our logo is literally an upside down pineapple. We don't know how to make this more clear to you. Anyway, Tesla's a terrible company. How about that?
Tariff troubles. How Trump's trade war is killing your hobbies.
Uh-oh.
The Trump administration's shifting tariff structure is making it difficult and more expensive for Americans to pursue hobbies and is harming small businesses globally.
Yay.
The removal of the de minimis exemption, which previously allowed tariff-free international purchases under $800, is causing chaos. This affects everything from vintage film cameras to retro video games to clothing to electronics.
Okay, first of all, I see where you're going with this, and I feel like this is going to be a story that I don't enjoy. It's going to be dark.
Yeah.
It's going to affect a lot of the things that I do, like collecting old electronics. But let's just point out one positive ray of light in all of this.
Yes.
With all of this posturing around this exemption, this $800 and under exemption, which is called the de minimis exemption. It has done more than anything I can remember in previous times to bring Latin back into the forefront of conversation. So if there's one thing that's come out of this,
that's great.
We need more Latin. And I love that people are running around saying de minimis like they know what it means.
Many international sellers are halting shipments to the U.S. due to increased costs and complex paperwork. As a result, popular items from places like Japan are now prohibitively expensive expensive, forcing hobbyists to seek out cheaper domestic alternatives. This is leading to higher prices, shipping delays, and logistical headaches for both buyers and sellers.
Think about the poor dude sitting somewhere in, Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
His passion has been collecting 35, 40-year-old camera lenses.
Sure.
And now his only choice is to go start whittling stuff out of corn. That's it. That's the trajectory he has to go.
I had no idea you could whittle a lens out of corn.
He was like, I used to buy these really cool, f1.2 prime lenses. I get them super cheap. Now I just make, Harry Truman out of corn. That's what I do.
What's the story of the woman who was knitting and she always wanted the latest colors from wherever her yarn was made from?
She had like an Etsy store, or has an Etsy store.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's one of the coolest things I think that modern tech has brought us.
Handmade.
Are these like individual creators, actual creators of stuff. They hand make these things. And my understanding from the bit I've looked at, they're not doing it for the money per se. They're doing it because it's a passion. They like doing it and they can make a little scratch on the side. And that I think is awesome, right? And it's really like, it's why you have the death of the modern flea market, is because now it's Etsy, right? Which is great. You can get a much wider audience.
I have a wallet that came from, not Etsy, but came from an internet store, a guy who makes these incredible leather goods.
Yeah.
He's a ridiculously talented craftsman. That's my favorite object probably that I own. That thing is so ridiculously nice.
That guy that you're talking about that made it for you, yeah, his name is Shein. So, okie dokie, pokey. No, so this woman knits things really cool. And I guess if you're a knitter, which I am not, your main input is time
and yarn
and wool.
Sure.
Right? Yarn. There was some release coming up for like the new fall 2025 yarn colors from like this British yarn manufacturer.
Sure.
This poor woman can't get them because they have no way to ship them to her. There's no one that's shipping out. And I just feel so bad for this woman that's she's in Eden Prairie, like Edina, Minnesota. She's somewhere in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And she just wants to buy some yarn. She just wants the 2025 fall yarn and she can't get it because we can't figure out the hell we're doing on how badly we want to tariff our imports.
She probably pays her bills from her handmade yarn products.
Not anymore. Get back to corn.
Yeah.
Call Fred in Iowa. Maybe he'll share some of his Harry Truman corn with you.
His F2 corn?
His corn. The bokeh on this corn is beautiful. Like, what? Shut up, Fred. But this really, I know we're being silly about this, but like this really is terrible.
It sucks.
Like the few things people have carved out to find some happiness in their life. And now if it's sourced in the U.S., you're fine. Like, no problem.
Yeah.
But if it's sourced anywhere outside the U.S., sorry, you can't do that anymore. New world.
Where does the wool come from for yarn? Does it mostly come from New Zealand? Where does wool come from? I don't even know.
Where's the yarn come from? It comes from wool. Isn't it basically all wool?
I know, but where are the big herds of wool-bearing sheep grown?
Which you could also just call sheep.
Who makes sheep?
As opposed to the acai-bearing sheep. What are the other sheep?
I don't know.
There's wool-bearing sheep and then there's wool-bearing sheep. Those are all the sheep. I mean, I don't know. I think that's mainly colder climates, right? Because they have those little wool coats on.
No idea.
And they can't get wet because they shrink. I'm assuming it's a lot of the UK and a lot of New Zealand.
I never realized until we record this show how little I know about the earth.
Just the more you know, a little star just comes out. I'm glad I can help you. Glad I can help you with all these things. Wait till next week when we talk about rayon.
The rest of the world is going to do more business with each other, and they're going to not have anything to do with us. You should see the ports China is putting money into building in Brazil so that they can do so much more trade with Brazil and basically just cut the U.S. out entirely because of this.
Better corn, though.
Another thought on tariffs. It does take a little while before U.S. citizens will feel the tariffs. What happens first is you get gluts. You get product gluts. There's a guy who's selling a ton of soybeans. He normally sells them to China. Suddenly he can't sell them to China because China has retaliatory tariffs. So what happens is soybeans in the U.S. become extremely cheap as he tries to get rid of his soybeans. Now, he stops making soybeans because he's got to make something more profitable or whatever else he's got to do. But the price of soybeans then goes way up.
I think I have a solution.
You do?
Yeah. Well, just get the guy who was buying all the camera parts from Japan, just get him to buy soybeans and collect soybeans. Problem solved.
My point is that there is a big lag between when you set the tariffs before they have a negative impact on the economy. They actually, in the short term, they have what appears to be a positive effect on pricing in the economy. You go to the grocery store, everything seems like it's normal price. Some things seem like they're even cheaper. That won't be the case. You will have a huge economic slowdown in the country. It just doesn't start out that way.
So I'm actually really glad you bring this up. I'm sitting here making jesty jokes. I think that's actually probably one of the biggest challenges. One of the biggest problems that we have is because we have, as a group, we seem to have no ability to tie consequence together to action, even when they're butt up next to one another. As soon as you put any period of time between them, and I literally mean on the order of days, that causation just disappears. It just vanishes.
Yeah.
As a consensus, as a body, we just have a hard time realizing that this thing you did now could have an effect in a couple days or a couple weeks or a couple months.
Oh, in this case, it's over a year.
Yeah.
When you actually start to feel the effects, those effects are huge.
Yeah.
You bring the economy to a stop.
But this is why we gather data and have people that have dedicated their entire life to looking at this data be able to make sense of it and say, oh, you can see this here, this contributed to that there.
But then we fire them and say they were liars.
But we don't believe any of that anymore. Yes, exactly. They were just part of the deep state, the deep corn state, or whatever the hell it was.
Sure.
And so that's all gone now. So now you just have this seat of pants like, well, I don't know, the tariffs weren't put in yesterday and stuff got more expensive today, so it must be that. It's like, wow, dude, we're doomed.
Well, what you're going to see first is a slowdown in employment.
Sure. Well, good news. We're unemployable, so that's not going to affect us.
Also kind of interesting that the court ruled, the appellate court ruled that these tariffs are mostly illegal.
Great.
So I'm not sure how that, I mean, it's going to go to the Supreme Court, I'm sure. We'll see how the Supreme Court rules. I'm not sure because Congress is the one who controls the purse string, not the executive branch. So Trump shouldn't have been making tariffs to begin with. Now, backtrack. I'm not sure what happens if these tariffs are ruled illegal. Does the U.S. government have to write
refunds,
checks for
do I get IOUs?
hundreds of millions of dollars to give back to the people they took tariffs from? How does that work?
Sure.
China's Salt Typhoon breached 80 plus countries and stole data for years. An FBI official says Chinese cyber spies known as Salt Typhoon have likely compromised the data of nearly every American. The group's extensive multi-year campaign targeted telecommunications networks and government agencies in over 80 countries. The quote, reckless and unbound, unquote, operation allowed Beijing to geolocate millions of mobile users, monitor internet traffic, and even record phone calls of high-profile officials. The official stated this is one of the most significant cyber espionage breaches ever seen in the United States, emphasizing that no one should assume they are safe from state-sponsored attacks.
Well, this is lovely. One day I'm going to put a happy story in here somewhere, I promise. I think a lot of this, I'm connecting a couple dots here, but I don't think this is far-fetched. I think a lot of this is a direct result of some law we put on the books about 30 years ago.
100%.
Which was the CALEA, right? The Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act.
Yep.
Basically, we have required that telecommunication providers keep all communications accessible.
We don't encrypt them.
We don't encrypt them. My understanding is it doesn't actually say you can encrypt them. It just says it has to be accessible.
Yeah.
And instead of implementing some sort of security with a key thing internally, they just like, no, we'll just keep it all plain text inside.
Yep.
So once you get inside one of these telcos, you now have access to everything, including the phone calls, which is why that's in here, right on that list. That's my belief. And it's sort of, we did this to ourselves, right? Because we said, well, we have to be able to tap, we got to be able to spy on
Sure. How else can we police these people?
How else can we police these people? And the problem is, as soon as you do that, you've now made it so that everyone else can do the same.
Yeah.
And we've known about this. This is a surprise. When these laws were put on the books, before they're put on the books, a bunch of nerds like us said this. Yeah. Don't do this, right? This was happening in Britain like a month ago.
Yeah. They were trying to pass this thing where that outlawed encryption, and it was just
it will again in 5 years.
I know how this ends.
The version of this that didn't make it was the Clipper chip, which we've also done an episode on. But this version stayed, right? CALEA stayed. Like people got grumpy enough about the Clipper chip, and you could maybe argue the Clipper chip was a red herring to distract people and go, oh, well, we gave up on the Clipper chip, so yeah, big win. We still have CALEA on the books.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a bunch of this comes from. Now, do I think we're going to change the law because of this breach? Nope, I don't. Not at all. Yeah. And that's a big part of the problem. So this is a pretty terrible attack. I mean, they postulated that Trump and Vance are in there. Like, everybody's in it, right? They said that. Now, no one's commented officially on that, but it's unofficially commented that pretty much everyone's in it, which is not great.
And if this gets us to make our cybersecurity better, to improve our cybersecurity.
But I think that's half of it. I think the other half is...
You got to change the law.
Where I get a little wrapped around the axle is the folks that are storing all this stuff poorly to comply with CALEA. They could still store it in a less accessible way that still would be with CALEA. They just choose not to. So they could do better even with the law in its current form. The point is, it should be demanded. And where are you going to go? It's not like there's some other better provider that has better internal access because we don't know how well they support their internal systems. Yeah. But this is not a surprise. It's very interesting. The FBI official called it one of the most significant cyber espionage breaches ever seen in the U.S. And I feel like we just read right over that line.
Sure.
It's like, all right, well, next week, we'll see what it is next week. It'll be somebody else.
Oh, yeah. It'll be bigger next week. Sure.
Yeah. It's not great. By the way, they were at this for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
They've been at this.
2019, something like that.
And just targeted everybody. I mean, they had their fingers into every pie out there, sort of lying in wait. The deputy assistant director for the FBI Cybers Division did not confirm or deny that Trump and or Vance were in this data set. but did confirm that victims include more than 100 current and former presidential administration officials. That's a lot. But to your previous point, in order for you to have secure communications between some parties, you need to have it between all parties.
Everybody, sure.
Right? Otherwise, you just go look at the ones that are secure. So I'm all for this. This is a bit of a mess.
You can't have both crackable communications and uncrackable communications. That's a myth. We always say we're going to have a special magic key that only the police can pay attention. Only authorities can listen to what's going on. No, if you have any sort of key, congratulations, everyone can listen.
Everybody has the key. Yeah, I mean, this has always been the thing. But I think you have folks that are Luddites that don't appreciate the nuance that's the case. So here we are. I mean, let's be honest. Most people in Congress are still surprised to see TV in color. Like, that's a surprise to them. So you're in there talking about like encryption and how it can't have a back door. And they're like, but the last 2 seasons of Gilligan Island are in color now. And you're like, oh boy. All right.
How are they going to get off the island? Okay, enough of the headlines. In fact, enough with the episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Frank Miles.
Hey, thanks, Frankie.
We'll be back later this week with our big story, the deli that blew up Wall Street. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense. I'm Jeff Parker.
Cats. Is it Cats? It's got to be Cats' Deli, right?
Could be Cats, sure.
I'm Scheduled. Pickles?
Do you like old pickles or do you like new pickles?
What?
Do you like old pickles or new pickles when you go to a deli?
What? There's a choice between old pickles and new pickles?
Have you never been to a deli?
Did you just have a stroke?
No.
There's a choice?
Yes, of course there's a choice.
I've been to 1,000 delis. Half of my body weight is composed of pastrami, and you're telling me there's old pickles and new pickles?
Oh, my father-in-law always insisted on new pickles. My head would explode. Why would you have anything but old pickles?
Are there like 2 buckets in the back? One says old pickles, one says new pickles?
I've never been to the back. I have no idea.
What is the difference?
The new pickles were basically cucumbers yesterday.
Oh, that sounds illegal.
No, get the old pickles. You won't be sorry.
I'm not going to kink shame you. Whatever you're into is what you're into.
Shalom.
L'chaim.
Start a winning future. An Ivy League education is your ticket to a lifetime of success. Imagine joining America's finest young men at a hallowed institution where tradition meets tomorrow's progress. Here you'll make friends for life and build the character needed to lead. Our distinguished faculty will guide you toward a brilliant career, whether in law, medicine, or business. The future belongs to those with a first-class education. And for just $600 a year, you can join the best and brightest. Don't just follow the path, make your own mark. The Ivy League is calling. So many questions. What year do you think this is roughly?
Okay, first of all, I love that the pitch here is imagine joining America's finest young men. Women, y'all just stay home. You got babies. We don't know. You got those things on your chest. We don't know.
Right. At this time, there were no women in the Ivy Leagues.
It's hard for me to do the math this far back in my head, but my hunch is this is definitely before the 60s. I'd assume it's even on the earlier side of the 50s. This is like straight up post-World War II, like late 40s, early 50s has got to be about when this lines up, if I had to guess.
You are absolutely correct. This is 1950.
Wow. That is crazy.
So $600 for a year of education, right?
Sure.
Walk this through. Inflation adjusted, $600 is now $7,200.
I was going to guess like 10 grand. Like that's
so your Ivy League education should be costing you, if it were just keeping up with inflation, $7,200.
Yeah. Cal Poly's 10 grand a year. Like there's no way.
The cost of attendance for the same Ivy League school for the 2025-2026 academic year is $63,204.
Wow. Now, this doesn't tell the full part of the story where now you've got a lot more kids that are on financial aid and getting benefit from like the endowment and from the government, but still.
Someone's still paying that tuition.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's still paying that money.
That's crazy.
That's an average annual growth rate of 6.14%. Meanwhile, the average annual rate of inflation between 1950 and today is approximately 3.52%. That extra 2.9% in compound average growth rate is responsible for the extra $55,000 plus in annual tuition spend. You are correct, though. 1950.
What a better time.
Or worse if you were a woman and you wanted to go to school.
Oh, sorry. That's what I meant. Worse. Yeah, no, worse. Worse is what I meant.
Could have gone either way, sure.
No. It was definitely worse.